Bayer Diagnostics, a leader in the medical diagnostics industry. At Bayer Diagnostics, we understand the dynamics and changes within the healthcare industry continue to present a challenging work environment for the clinical laboratory. As a key member of the laboratory team, you demand high-quality results, enhanced workflow, consolidation of workstations, rapid throughput, and total automation. The ADVIA Centaur continues to set new standards in immunoassay testing solutions, which meet the demands of your laboratory and the healthcare marketplace. The following procedures in this video program apply to the ADVIA Centaur system. Bayer Diagnostics presents ADVIA Centaur Basic Operation. The routine operating tasks reviewed include loading sample racks, replenishing reagents, replenishing supplies, managing the work list, and evaluating results. Sample racks can be loaded onto the ADVIA Centaur at any time, even while the system is processing samples. Loading routine sample racks, loading stat racks, and monitoring sample status will be covered in this section. Samples are placed into sample racks that hold up to 5 tubes or sample cups. Each sample rack is barcoded for positive identification and also contains a tube type selector to identify the tube type you are loading in the rack. Place the sample tubes or cups in the rack with barcode labels above or between the slots in the rack. Move the tube type selector to the position for the tube type you are loading in the rack and as defined at the Setup Tube Type and Barcode window. Ensure to place only one type of sample tube or cup in the rack, which corresponds to the tube type selector. Load one or more routine racks in the sample entry queue. The sample entry queue accommodates up to 21 racks. If the LED above the Sample Start button is not lit, press the button. The system moves the rack past the barcode reader and into the in-process queue. The in-process queue holds up to 16 racks. The design of the ADVIA Centaur system allows flexibility in loading stat samples. You can load stat samples in 2 places, the stat entry or the sample entry queue. When you load stat samples in the stat entry, the system automatically processes these samples before the routine samples that are loaded in the sample entry queue. All samples in the rack loaded into the stat entry queue are considered stat. To use the stat entry queue, do the following. Place the stat sample or samples in a rack and load the rack into the stat entry. If the LED above the Sample Start button is not lit, press the button. The system moves the rack into the in-process queue. To use the sample entry queue to load a stat sample or samples, do the following. Schedule a sample as a stat at your LIS or at the Worklist Schedule window. Place the stat sample or samples in a rack. Load the rack into the sample entry queue, and press the Sample Start button if not lit. The system moves the rack into the in-process queue, and the stat samples are processed. Once aspiration of the samples in the in-process queue is complete, the rack proceeds to the sample exit queue. The sample exit queue holds up to 24 racks that can be removed at any time. The system monitors the status of samples that are loaded on the system. If testing for a sample will not be completed due to a problem with the sample status button changes to yellow. To view the errors for a sample, at the workspace, select the Sample Status button. The Status Samples window opens and displays the samples in the in-process queue. Samples with errors will be highlighted in yellow and have a status message to indicate the problem, such as clot detected, incomplete cal set, insufficient, no barcode, or no request. To manually enter the SID for a sample in which the barcode was not read, select the sample at the Status Samples window, and then select Enter SID. Select the sample type, enter the SID, and then select Save. To remove a rack to add more sample, remove a clot, or to reposition a sample tube, select the sample and then remove rack. When prompted, select Completed or Now. If you select Completed, the rack will be removed to the sample exit queue when all other samples in the rack have been aspirated. If you select Now, the sample rack will be removed ASAP, and some of the samples on that rack may not have been aspirated. Reagents can be replenished at any time, even while the system is processing samples. In this section, both loading primary reagents and ancillary reagents and monitoring reagent status are included. Each test uses assay-specific primary reagents, which are packaged in ready packs. Ready packs contain solid phase and light reagent and process between 50 to 100 tests. A unique barcode number, which is used to track inventory and onboard stability, identifies each ready pack by the system. Each ready pack is also color-coded for optimal placement within the reagent compartment. Ready packs can be loaded or removed at any time from the 30-position refrigerated reagent compartment without pausing operation. The light panel on the door indicates which packs can be removed. Ready packs should be mixed to resuspend the solid phase reagent prior to loading into the reagent compartment. Once in the reagent compartment, the solid phase remains suspended due to the onboard mixing. To manually mix the ready pack, hold each end of the ready pack between your thumb and index finger, and then rotate the pack 90 degrees to a vertical position. Rotate the pack back to the horizontal position, and then 90 degrees in the opposite vertical position. Repeat this mixing rotation 20 times or until the solid phase pellet has broken up, adjusting the speed to minimize foaming. Mix 5 more times to ensure complete mixing. For optimal throughput, install ready packs of similar types next to one another. The color and position indicator on the end label identifies similar types of reagents. Purple with a left-facing arrow indicates that packs should be loaded from the left side of the primary reagent area. Red with a right-facing arrow indicates that packs should be loaded from the right side of the primary reagent area. Green with both arrows indicates that packs should be loaded between any purple and red packs. If you are using only one or two types of reagents, you can load the pack starting at the appropriate location and fill the primary reagent compartment. To load the primary reagent packs, use the following procedure. Open the primary reagent door. Identify a location for the pack and then pull the reagent holder toward you. Load the pack on the reagent holder and push the reagent holder back firmly until you hear the pack lock in place. Ensure that the packs are level and locked in place by pressing down on the top front of the pack. Close the primary reagent door. The primary reagent barcode reader scans the ready packs and the inventory is updated automatically. Ready packs can be removed at any time. If the LED on the primary reagent compartment is neutral, the pack can be removed since it is depleted, expired, inactivated, or has no barcode. To remove a ready pack when the LED is green and the system is in process, follow these steps. At the workspace, select the Reagent Status button. Select the Primary Reagent button if this window is not already open. Select the reagent and then Remove Pack. If prompted, select Complete or select Now. By selecting Complete, the tests scheduled for that pack will be completed before the pack is removed. By selecting Now, the pack will be removed without completing the tests. When the status changes to removable and the LED changes to neutral, remove the pack. In addition to the ready packs, some assays require ancillary reagents. Ancillary reagent packs are barcoded and contain between 10 and 25 milliliters of diluent or releasing agent. Ancillary packs can be added or removed from the 15-position refrigerated compartment without interrupting operation. To load an ancillary pack, place the ancillary pack in the ancillary reagent queue with the barcode label facing outward. An LED next to the ancillary reagent entry turns green to indicate that the pack will be loaded. The system will then move the pack into the ancillary reagent compartment. To remove an ancillary reagent pack, follow these steps. At the workspace, select the Reagent Status button. Select the Ancillary Reagent button if this window is not already open. Select the ancillary pack and then Remove Pack. If prompted, select Complete or select Now. By selecting Complete, the test scheduled for that pack will be completed before the pack is removed. By selecting Now, the pack will be removed without completing the tests. The system ejects the pack into the ancillary reagent entry. An LED next to the ancillary reagent entry turns orange to indicate that the pack has exited the system. Remove the pack from the ancillary reagent entry. Use the Reagent Status button to monitor the status of the reagents on the system. The Reagent Status button indicates the status of both the primary and ancillary reagents and will change to yellow to indicate that a reagent pack cannot be used. At the workspace, select the Reagent Status button, and the Status Primary Reagent window opens if primary reagents require attention. The Status Primary window displays the position numbers of each pack in the reagent compartment, along with the number of tests available in the pack, and any status messages. The pack indicators also change colors to indicate if the pack is available for use. The pack positioning may be neutral or yellow, depending on the status messages. Some of the neutral status messages include Cal Do, Pack Inactive, Removable, and Verify Stability. Some of the yellow messages include Cal Expired, Cal Required, Depleted, Lot Expired, No Master Curve, No Ancillary, and Stability Expired. If there are multiple status messages for a pack, 3 periods will be after the status message displayed. To display all the status messages for that pack, select the pack and then Details. The Reagent Details window opens. At the workspace, select the Reagent Status button, and the Status Ancillary Reagent window opens if an ancillary reagent requires attention. The Status Ancillary window displays the 15 positions in the ancillary compartment, the ancillary reagent, the volume available, and any status messages. Some of the yellow status messages include Depleted, Lot Expired, and Stability Expired. If there are multiple status messages for an ancillary reagent, 3 periods will be after the status message displayed. To display all the status messages for that reagent, select the reagent and then Details. The Details window then opens. Volumes of primary and ancillary reagents can be monitored using the Worklist Reagent Inventory window. To open the Reagent Inventory window, at the workspace, select Work List, and then select Reagent Inventory, or select Reagent Status and then Reagent Inventory. The Worklist Reagent Inventory window displays all reagents that are loaded, the number of tests scheduled, the amount of reagent remaining for each test, the amount of reagent that must be added to complete the scheduled tests, and any status messages. Inventory for primary reagents is expressed in number of tests, and inventory for ancillary reagents is expressed in milliliters. Supplies can be replenished any time, even while the system is processing samples. The steps for replenishing or emptying the following supplies will be covered in this video in addition to monitoring supply status: filling the water bottle, emptying the waste bottle, adding cuvettes, adding sample tips, emptying the sample tip waste bin, emptying the sample tip tray waste, emptying the cuvette waste bin, and replacing system fluids. You can fill the water bottle anytime, even while the system is processing samples. You do not need to use this procedure if your system is directly plumbed to a water source. Follow these steps to fill the water bottle. Pull out the waste and water drawer. Open the water bottle lid. Disconnect the water tubing from the water bottle, and then set the tubing on lint-free tissues or gauze to absorb drips. Lift the water bottle up and out and remove the cap. Fill the spare clean water bottle with fresh reagent water and install the cap. Place the water bottle in the waste and water drawer and connect the water bottle tubing to the bottle. Lower the water bottle lid and then push in the waste and water drawer. You can empty the waste bottle any time, even while the system is processing samples. You do not need to use this procedure if your system is directly plumbed to a drain. To empty the waste bottle, follow these steps. Pull out the waste and water drawer. Open the waste bottle lid. Disconnect the waste tubing from the waste bottle. Move the S-clamp on the sensor aside. Remove the sensor. Wipe the sensor dry using lint-free tissues or gauze, and then set the sensor on lint-free tissues or gauze. Lift the waste bottle up and out. Using the waste valve, empty the contents of the waste bottle into a container or drain approved for biohazardous waste disposal. Ensure that the waste bottle valve is closed properly. Install the waste bottle in the waste and water drawer. Install the sensor and move the S-clamp to cover the sensor. Connect the waste bottle tubing to the bottle. Lower the waste bottle lid and then push in the waste and water drawer. At the prompt, select Continue to verify that you have connected the waste bottle tubing. You can fill the cuvette loading bin anytime, even while the system is processing samples. The cuvette loading bin has a capacity for 1,000 cuvettes, and cuvettes come packaged in bags of 200. To add cuvettes to the loading bin, follow these steps. Open the supplies access cover. Load the cuvettes in the cuvette loading bin, and then close the cover. You can load sample tips anytime, even while the system is processing samples. The sample tip loading area holds up to 6 sample tip trays. Each sample tip tray holds 120 tips. The sample tips are packaged in bundles of 3 trays. To load sample tip trays, follow these steps. Open the supplies access cover. Remove the protective cover from the bottom of the sample tip tray bundle. Install the sample tip trays, ensuring that the tab is facing you and that the notches in the trays are on the right. Pull the tab to release the strap from the trays and remove the strap. Close the supplies access cover. You can empty the bin anytime, even while the system is processing samples. The sample tip tray waste bin has a capacity for 1,000 tips. Sample tips are collected in a reservoir while the bin is removed from the system. The reservoir holds enough tips for approximately 5 minutes of operation. To empty the sample tip waste bin, follow these steps. Open the right waste door. Pull the sample tip waste bin towards you and remove. Dispose of the contents of the liner in a container approved for biohazardous waste. If the liner is damaged, install a new liner. Install the sample tip waste bin. Ensure that the bin is pushed in completely and close the right waste door. At the prompt, select Yes that you have emptied the waste bin.